Art revolution. Just a few years ago, the idea of artificial intelligence creating art was a novelty, a digital parlor trick. We saw bizarre, dreamlike images, often with too many fingers or distorted faces, churned out by algorithms that seemed to be guessing at what a cat or a house looked like. It was interesting, maybe even a little funny, but it wasn't a serious threat to human creativity. That time is definitively over. We are now living through an unprecedented, lightning-fast revolution. The digital parlor trick has become a master artist, and it's learning at a speed we can barely comprehend. Welcome to the new age of creation, powered by generative AI. At the heart of this explosion are models with names that are fast becoming household terms: Midjourney, DALL-E, and Stable Diffusion. These aren't just programs, they are vast neural networks trained on billions of images scraped from the internet that have learned the intricate relationships between words and pixels. They have learned the language of art. The result is a phenomenon that has completely upended the creative landscape. Anyone with an internet connection and a few words can now generate complex, beautiful, and often breathtaking visuals. Think about that for a second. The barrier to entry for visual creation, which once required years of dedicated practice in drawing, painting, or digital software, has been lowered to almost zero. You no longer need to know how to hold a brush to paint a masterpiece. You just need to know how to describe one. This is what many call the democratization of art. A writer can now visualize the characters from their novel with photorealistic detail. A game developer can brainstorm dozens of environments in an afternoon. A musician can create the perfect album art to match the mood of their music, all without hiring a graphic designer. It's a surge of creative potential unleashed upon the world, empowering millions to bring their visions to life in ways they never could before. This rapid evolution is what's truly staggering. The leap in quality from 2021 to today is not just an improvement, it's a paradigm shift. We've gone from blurry, abstract oddities to hyper-realistic portraits that could be mistaken for photographs, from clumsy compositions to works that demonstrate a sophisticated understanding of light, shadow, and color theory. AI can now flawlessly mimic the style of Rembrandt, Ansel Adams, or Studio Ghibli. It can blend styles, invent new ones, and create scenes of such fantastical complexity that a human artist might spend months working on a similar piece. We saw this firsthand when a piece generated by Midjourney won first place at the Colorado State Fair's digital art competition, sparking a firestorm of debate. The artist, Jason Allen, didn't paint a single stroke. He composed a prompt. He directed the AI, and he won. This single event forced the art world to confront a deeply uncomfortable question. If the human is no longer the one executing the craft, are they still the artist? This brings us to the core of the issue, the question that is causing so much anxiety and excitement in equal measure. Is this a collaboration, or is it a competition? Is AI a revolutionary new tool, the 21st century's equivalent of the camera, which will augment and empower human artists? Or is it the beginning of their replacement, an automated creator that will eventually render human skill obsolete? The truth is, it's both, and that's what makes this conversation so difficult. On one hand, you have artists using these tools to accelerate their workflows, to break through creative blocks by generating dozens of ideas in minutes. They see it as a partner, a tireless assistant that handles the grunt work, allowing them to focus on the bigger picture, the concept, the story. They are still the director, the visionary in control. But on the other hand, the tool is getting smarter. It's not just executing commands, it's interpreting them, making creative choices, and producing a final product that often surpasses the prompter's own imagination. The AI is filling in the blanks with a creativity all its own. When the AI generates a work that is profoundly moving, who gets the credit for that emotion? The human who wrote a 10-word prompt, or the algorithm that synthesized a million pieces of human culture to evoke that feeling? The lines are blurring at an incredible pace, and we are being forced to redefine what creativity, skill, and artistry even mean in this new world. The revolution is here, and it's not waiting for us to get comfortable. Block 2. Collaboration versus replacement. So we've established that generative AI is a force of nature, a technological tsunami reshaping the creative shores. But to truly understand its impact, we need to move beyond the shock and awe and dissect the nuanced reality on the ground. The debate isn't a simple binary of good or bad. It's a complex spectrum, with pure collaboration on one end and total replacement on the other. Let's first walk to the collaborative end of that spectrum, where AI is presented as the ultimate artist's assistant. In this vision, the AI is not the creator, it is the ultimate tool. Think of a concept artist for a major film or video game. Their job is to visualize worlds, characters, and scenes. Traditionally, this involves countless hours of sketching and painting. Now, with an AI co-creator, that artist can type a prompt like a futuristic city in the Amazon rainforest, brutalist architecture, morning mist, and in seconds receive a dozen distinct visual interpretations. This isn't replacing their creativity, it's supercharging it. They can iterate at the speed of thought, refining prompts, blending concepts, and using the AI's output as a foundation, a springboard for their own talent. The human artist remains the curator, the editor, the visionary who guides the technology and imbues the final piece with a deliberate, conscious intent. It's like Photoshop's content-aware fill evolving into a full-blown brainstorming partner. In this collaborative model, AI handles the tedious, time-consuming tasks, freeing up the human to focus on what truly matters: the story, the emotion, the why behind the art. An independent comic book creator could use AI to generate background scenery or texture patterns, allowing them to focus on character design and paneling. A photographer could use generative fill to seamlessly extend a background or remove distracting elements without hours of painstaking cloning and masking. This is the utopian view. AI doesn't diminish the artist, it elevates them, allowing a single person to achieve the output of a small studio. It democratizes not just creation, but production. However, this rosy picture of human-AI synergy begins to darken as we move further along the spectrum. What happens when the human's input becomes more and more minimal? What happens when the tool does 99% of the work? This is where we confront the unsettling possibility of replacement. Consider the world of stock photography or commercial illustration. A client needs a generic image of business people shaking hands in a modern office. Before, they would hire a photographer or an illustrator. Now, they can generate a royalty-free, high-resolution image in seconds that is perfectly tailored to their needs. In this scenario, the human creative isn't being augmented, they're being bypassed entirely. This leads us to the tangled ethical labyrinth at the heart of the AI art debate. The first major question is authorship. If I type the prompt, "a lonely astronaut gazing at a shattered Earth," and Midjourney produces a poignant masterpiece-level image, who is the artist? Am I the prompter? Is it the team at Midjourney who built the AI? Or, and this is the most contentious point, is it the millions of artists, living and dead, whose work was scraped from the internet without their consent to train the AI in the first place? The U.S. Copyright Office has already weighed in, stating that works generated purely by AI cannot be copyrighted. They argue that copyright protects human authorship, and if a human didn't create it, it belongs in the public domain. This creates a legal quagmire for anyone trying to use this technology professionally. This issue of training data is an ethical minefield. Models like Stable Diffusion were trained on vast datasets containing billions of images, including copyrighted works from artists who never gave their permission. As a result, these AIs can replicate an artist's unique signature style with terrifying accuracy. you can literally ask the AI to create a new piece in the style of Greg Rutkowski or in the style of Carla Ortiz, two artists whose work was so frequently used in prompts that their names became synonymous with a certain fantasy aesthetic. For these artists, it's not collaboration, it's identity theft on a massive scale. Imagine spending your entire life developing a unique artistic voice, only to have an algorithm replicate it endlessly for free. This has led to major lawsuits, with companies like Getty Images suing Stability AI for copyright infringement on an unprecedented scale. The outcome of these legal battles will fundamentally shape the future of AI and intellectual property. The question is no longer just who is the artist, it's now what is fair use and who should be compensated when an AI learns from a human's labor. There are no easy answers here, only a deep and uncomfortable truth. The technology has outpaced our ethics, and we are all playing catch-up. The AI art debate, the tangled ethical labyrinth at the heart of the AI art debate. The first major question is authorship. If I type the prompt, "a lonely astronaut gazing at a shattered Earth," and Midjourney produces a poignant masterpiece-level image, who is the artist? Am I the prompter? Is it the team at Midjourney who built the AI? Or, and this is the most contentious point, is it the millions of artists, living and dead, whose work was scraped from the internet without their consent to train the AI in the first place? The U.S. Copyright Office has already weighed in, stating that works generated purely by AI cannot be copyrighted. They argue that copyright protects human authorship, and if a human didn't create it, it belongs in the public domain. This creates a legal quagmire for anyone trying to use this technology professionally. This issue of training data is an ethical minefield. Models like Stable Diffusion were trained on vast datasets containing billions of images, including copyrighted works from artists who never gave their permission. As a result, these AIs can replicate an artist's unique, signature style with terrifying accuracy. You can literally ask the AI to create a new piece in the style of Greg Rutkowski or in the style of Carla Ortiz, two artists whose work was so frequently used in prompts that their names became synonymous with a certain fantasy aesthetic. For these artists, it's not collaboration, it's identity theft on a massive scale. Imagine spending your entire life developing a unique artistic voice, only to have an algorithm replicate it endlessly for free. This has led to major lawsuits, with companies like Getty Images suing Stability AI for copyright infringement on an unprecedented scale. The outcome of these legal battles will fundamentally shape the future of AI and intellectual property. The question is no longer just who is the artist, it's now what is fair use and who should be compensated when an AI learns from a human's labor. There are no easy answers here, only a deep and uncomfortable truth. The technology has outpaced our ethics, and we are all playing catch-up. Block 3. Future of Human Creativity. Navigating the ethical chaos of the present is one thing, but the truly profound question is what lies ahead. As AI art generators become exponentially more powerful, capable of producing not just static images, but video, music, and interactive experiences, what will be the role of the human artist in a decade? Will they be relegated to the status of a niche hobbyist, like a blacksmith in the age of industrial manufacturing? Or will they evolve into something new? The fear of obsolescence is real and, in some areas, justified. The economic model for many creative professions, particularly those centered on commercial art like stock imagery, basic graphic design, and certain types of illustration, is undeniably under threat. Why pay a human for a 10-hour job when an AI can deliver a comparable result in 10 seconds for a fraction of the cost? It's a brutal economic calculation, and it will cause significant disruption. However, to assume this means the end of human artistry is to misunderstand where true human creativity lies. It's not just in the technical execution, it's in the intent, the context, and the connection. This is where human artists will adapt and thrive. The future of human creativity may lie in shifting focus away from the how and doubling down on the why. First, there is the power of conceptualization and narrative. An AI can generate a beautiful image of a forest, but a human artist can create a forest that tells a story of loss, of time passing, of a specific memory tied to a single gnarled tree. Human art is imbued with lived experience. Can an algorithm that has never felt heartbreak, joy, or the quiet melancholy of a rainy afternoon truly create art that speaks to those core human emotions? Or is it simply a master of mimicry, a sophisticated parrot that rearranges pixels in patterns it has learned are associated with sadness or joy? The human artist's unique perspective, their personal history, and their authentic emotional depth will become their most valuable assets. The story behind the art will become as important as the art itself. Furthermore, we will likely see a renewed appreciation for art forms that are inherently physical and performative. AI cannot sculpt a block of marble. It cannot create a sprawling installation that you can walk through and experience with all your senses. It cannot engage in performance art that exists only in a specific moment in time between the artist and the audience. The touch of the human hand, the imperfection of a brushstroke, the raw energy of a live performance, these are things that cannot be digitized or automated. In a world saturated with flawless digital content, the tangible, the imperfect, and the uniquely human will become premium commodities. We may also see the birth of entirely new art forms born from human-AI synergy. Imagine interactive narratives that change based on the viewer's real-time emotional state, or generative sculptures that are designed by an AI but fabricated by a human artisan. This changing landscape will also create new roles. The prompt engineer, or AI art director, is already emerging as a legitimate creative profession. These individuals are modern-day sorcerers, mastering the arcane language of AI prompts to conjure specific and spectacular results. They are not traditional artists, but they are undeniably creatives, blending technical knowledge with artistic vision. We may also see a rise in AI art curators, tastemakers who sift through the infinite ocean of AI-generated content to find the truly meaningful and impactful works. The job of artist won't disappear. It will fracture and evolve into a dozen new specializations. The economic shift will be painful for some, but it will also create unforeseen opportunities. So, is creativity our last bastion against algorithmic supremacy? Perhaps not a bastion, but rather a dance partner. Our relationship with technology has always been one of co-evolution. The invention of the camera didn't kill painting. It freed painters from the burden of realism and gave birth to Impressionism, Cubism, and a century of abstract art. The synthesizer didn't kill music. It created electronica, hip-hop, and countless new genres. AI is not the end of art. It is a powerful, disruptive, and frankly terrifying new force that will challenge our definitions of art, value, and human ingenuity. It will force us to be more creative, more intentional, and more deeply human in our work. The algorithms are learning how to create. The real test is what we, as humans, choose to create alongside them. What do you think? Is AI a threat, a tool, or the next evolution of art? Let us know in the comments.